Okay, so last we left off, we had just ended our time in Denver. So after Denver, our next destination was the Grand Canyon. And the drive from Denver all the way to the Grand Canyon is about 11 and a half hours. Okay, so driving out of Denver was pretty cool because it was my first time going through mountains. And seeing the Rocky Mountains was my first time actually seeing mountains, at least that I can recall. So driving through mountains was pretty cool, except it was really dark, so we couldn't really film anything or take pictures of it. So that was a bummer. But we did go through some pretty cool tunnels that like went through actual mountains. So that was pretty interesting because I'd never done it before. Once we got out of the mountains, the driving was relatively boring. We went through Utah, and there's really nothing to see there, at least not that we could tell. At 4:30 a.m. is when I started driving. Jenny had been up all night. She'd driven most of the time. And I've discovered on this trip that I can't really sleep if I'm the only other person in the vehicle. I felt as if I needed to be awake to help if needed. So when I did manage to sleep, it was very restless because every time the car shifted a little differently, I would wake up a little. And that night, Jenny and I both probably got about an hour and a half of sleep total. We got to the actual Grand Canyon at about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. And when we got there, they had a little like toll booth set up where you have to pay for entrance into the park. However, because we got there so early, it wasn't set up yet, so there was just a sign that says "Enjoy your time," and so we got to go in for free. Otherwise, it would have been like $25, which wouldn't be so bad. I mean, we were ready to pay for it, but there was nobody there. I just want to say right now that I was very skeptic about going to the Grand Canyon because in my head, I was just thinking it was a giant hole in the ground. There's nothing spectacular about it. You know, it's a hole. Why would I be excited to see this ginormous hole in the ground? Yeah, we get to the first lookout spot, and I am in awe of this giant hole in the ground. Like, yes, it is a giant hole in the ground, but it's really breathtaking and amazing. I'm not sure how to describe it. It's one of those things you have to be there to experience it if you feel the same way as me. It's definitely something worth checking out in life. We spent about 2 hours at the Grand Canyon. We went to different lookouts, took pictures, did some video on Jenny's camera, and then we even found a souvenir shop where we had breakfast as well. They had signs for mountain lions, which was very different because I've never seen a sign that labels it, for mountain lions. And in my head, the only thing I could think of is like, what about the people who are biking through here? I mean, that has to be kind of scary to come to an area where mountain lions are prevalent. But I guess maybe it's not a big enough issue. But at the same time, I thought it would be cool to see one. But we never did. So that was kind of a letdown. Once we were done at the Grand Canyon, we moved on to go to Las Vegas, and that drive was about 4.5 hours, so that wasn't too bad. Okay, so when we got to Vegas, it was probably about 2:30 in the afternoon. It was cool to see all the different casino setups from the highway. The first thing we did when we got to Vegas was we went to Count's Customs. Count's Customs is an automobile restoration and customization shop that is run by a man named Danny Coker, who's also known as the Count. This car shop also has a TV show on the History Channel called Counting Cars, and Jenny is a big fan of the show, and this was really our sole purpose for going to Las Vegas. It's kind of amazing how many custom cars are inside of this shop. It felt like kind of like a car museum because there were so many old cars, but they were all redone and painted over, and they looked phenomenal. Okay, so I'd never seen the show, so I wasn't all that excited like Jenny was, but it was still really cool to see all these old cars that were in the shop. After leaving Count's Customs, we went to the hotel that was recommended by my uncle, and we got a room, and we kind of just unwind for a little bit, and then we got dressed just so that we could go and explore the strip, which wasn't too far away. But the only thing that really got to us was the heat, because we didn't expect it to be so hot, even though when we got in there it was like close to 100 degrees. We ended up finding this mall, and we walked through there, checked out some of the stores, but we were just mostly window shopping. We got ourselves a couple waters because we both realized how that heat affected us. And then we made our way over to the strip, where we walked along, pretty much just taking in the scenery pretty much, because neither of us had been to Vegas. And it was cool. We watched one of the fountain shows, I believe from the Bellagio. After watching the show at the fountain, we decided that we were just going to head back to the hotel because Jenny wanted to go and eat at another place associated with Count's Customs. It's called vamp'd. The day we were there, it was a day that the show aired on the History Channel, and the restaurant has a big projector screen so people can come in and watch it and eat. And that's what we ended up doing, and it was a lot of fun. It had really good food. So we ended up staying for probably like an hour or so there. We were eating, talking, and then watching the show, of course. It was a good show. It was really cool what they do with all these cars that they get or things that they fix up for people. After vamp'd, we went back to the hotel. We had both felt really tired. A lot of it had come from the heat because it had taken a lot out of us. And we had plans to leave for Los Angeles the next morning at about 7 a.m. So we just figured it would be a lot easier to go to bed early and then wake up feeling more refreshed. So that is where that day ends. And next time it'll be about our time in Los Angeles. And hope you're still around for that. And that is all.